And now to see your younger brother get in there and spar some of the best in the world that other people don't want to spar. Triple G sparring partners call me and say, we don't want to spar him.
Well, you're not really a boxing star until you're a world champion. You're up there, you know, like Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao and all them. So, I mean, it's crazy seeing my little brother sparring world-class fighters like Jenna. I mean, that guy's no joke, tough. And he's also a great guy outside the ring as well, too. He's a really nice guy, but when he gets in that ring, he's a total different animal. So, I mean, it's crazy just seeing him, you know, spar against top-notch fighters. I just can't wait till he turns pro.
More later, but he basically said, man, you know, everybody called me. I tell him, ask David. I let my son make his own decisions. You know, I guide him, but I let him make his own decision. And that's how a father's supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Only kid in the world to work out at the same gym where Manny Pacquiao's working out.
It's crazy. Like 2 months ago, I wouldn't even think I'd be here training with Manny, like in the same gym as Manny Pacquiao.
And now,
For years, David Benavidez looked unstoppable. Opponent after opponent folded under the pressure. Champions couldn't keep him off them. Contenders couldn't match his pace. And every fight seemed to end the same way. Benavidez marching forward. Benavidez taking over. Benavidez breaking another man down. But on February 1st, 2025, that confidence faced its most dangerous test yet. Across the ring stood David Morrell, an undefeated champion with world-class amateur experience, explosive power, elite athleticism, and the kind of speed that few fighters Benavidez had faced could match. Many believed Morrell possessed the perfect style to finally expose the flaws in Benavidez's relentless aggression. He wasn't intimidated, he wasn't overwhelmed by the moment, and unlike many previous opponents, he welcomed the chaos. From the opening rounds, the difference was obvious. Morrell refused to retreat. Every exchange carried danger. Every mistake could change the fight. Benavidez pushed forward as he always did, throwing combinations and attempting to drown his opponent with pressure. But Morrell answered back. Sharp counters snapped through the guard. Power shots landed clean. The momentum shifted back and forth as both men searched for control. For perhaps the first time in years, Benavidez looked genuinely tested by a fighter who could match his intensity. Round after round, the pace remained brutal. Neither man gave ground. Neither man showed signs of breaking. And then came the moment that stunned the crowd. Late in the fight, Morrell launched a crushing right hand. The punch landed flush. Benavidez lost balance and crashed to the canvas. For a brief moment, the arena erupted. The seemingly invincible pressure machine had finally been dropped. Questions flooded in instantly. Was this the beginning of the end? Had Morrell finally found the answer? Could Benavidez recover? But champions reveal themselves in moments like these. Benavidez rose to his feet, composed, focused, and determined to finish what he started. Instead of unraveling, he responded. He increased the pressure, forced exchanges, walked through fire, and reclaimed control of the fight. The knockdown became a turning point, not because it ended his momentum, but because it proved how much punishment he could overcome. When the final bell sounded, both men had emptied everything they had. The judges awarded Benavidez the victory, but the scorecards told only part of the story. Because for the first time in a long time, David Benavidez had been pushed to his absolute limit, and he survived. The toughest test of his career was behind him, but it wouldn't be the first time adversity tried to stop him. Long before the biggest victories of his career, before the championship defenses, before the super fights, before becoming one of boxing's most feared pressure fighters, David Benavidez faced the first true test of his professional journey. On September 8, 2017, the undefeated 20-year-old stepped into the ring against Ronald Gavril for the vacant WBC Super Middleweight Championship. The opportunity was enormous. A victory would make Benavidez the youngest super middleweight world champion in boxing history. But with that opportunity came serious questions. The young prospect had impressed against lesser opposition. He had power, he had speed, he had size, but nobody knew how he would respond when forced into deep waters against an experienced fighter who refused to disappear. Ronald Gavril wasn't interested in becoming another highlight reel victim. The rugged Romanian veteran entered the fight determined to spoil the celebration. From the opening rounds, Benavidez showcased the offensive brilliance that had made him one of boxing's most exciting young stars. Fast combinations, relentless pressure, punches arriving from every angle. But unlike previous opponents, Gavril kept answering back. Every time Benavidez appeared ready to take control, Gavril forced him into another exchange, another difficult round, another test of his composure. As the fight moved into the later rounds, the pace began taking its toll. The young contender was still firing combinations, but the championship rounds demanded something he had never truly been forced to show before: endurance, discipline, mental toughness. Then came the moment that changed everything. In the final round, Gavril landed a perfectly timed counter left hook. Benavidez hit the canvas. The crowd erupted. For the first time in his professional career, the future champion had been dropped. Suddenly, the fight that seemed destined to crown a new star was hanging in the balance. Years of hype, years of expectations, all resting on the final moments of the biggest fight of his life. But instead of panicking, Benavidez got up. He gathered himself, stayed composed, and fought through the adversity. When the final bell sounded, both fighters knew they had been through a war. The judges returned a split decision, and David Benavidez had done just enough. At only 20 years old, he became the youngest super middleweight world champion in history. The victory wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy, but it revealed something important. For the first time, Benavidez proved he could survive when everything wasn't going his way, because champions aren't defined only by dominance. Winning the world title should have silenced the doubts, but after the first fight with Ronald Gavril, many questions still remained. Some believed the split decision was too close. Others pointed to the knockdown in the final round. And for the first time in David Benavidez's career, critics wondered if the young champion had been exposed. Ronald Gavril certainly believed so. After pushing Benavidez to the limit and nearly pulling off the upset, the Romanian contender entered the rematch with something dangerous: confidence. He had already shared 12 rounds with the champion. He had already put him on the canvas, and he knew firsthand that Benavidez could be tested. This wasn't an unknown challenge anymore. It was unfinished business. For Benavidez, the rematch became about far more than simply defending a belt. It was an opportunity to prove the first victory wasn't a fluke, an opportunity to show growth, and an opportunity to demonstrate that a true champion learns from adversity. From the opening bell, the difference was noticeable. Benavidez looked calmer, more patient, more disciplined. Instead of chasing exchanges recklessly, he controlled the pace. He worked behind his jab, picked his moments carefully, and forced Gavril to react rather than dictate the action. The champion still unleashed the rapid-fire combinations that made him special. But this time, there was a new level of composure behind every attack. Gavril remained dangerous. He continued searching for openings, continued trying to recreate the success he found in the first fight. But the opportunities were far harder to find. Round after round, Benavidez's activity began separating the two fighters. His combinations landed cleaner, his pressure became more effective, and his command of the fight steadily increased. There were no dramatic momentum swings, no late fight collapse, no moment where the championship seemed in jeopardy. Instead, the young champion delivered exactly the performance he needed. 12 disciplined rounds against the toughest opponent he had faced. When the final bell sounded, there was little controversy this time.
When I seen the opening, I took it. I didn't knock him out, but he's a tough son of a gun.
The judges awarded Benavidez a unanimous decision victory. The rematch wasn't remembered for a spectacular knockout or a dramatic comeback. It was remembered because of what it revealed. The first Gavril fight showed that Benavidez could survive adversity. The second showed that he could learn from it. He entered the ring as a talented young champion. He left it looking far more complete. And with the doubts surrounding the first fight finally answered, David Benavidez was ready for the next stage of his rise. By 2019, David Benavidez had already survived adversity. He had won a world title, defended his position at the top of the division, and proven he could battle through difficult moments when the pressure was highest. But there was still one thing missing: a signature victory over an established world champion. That opportunity arrived on September 28, 2019. Standing across the ring was Anthony Dirrell, a two-time WBC super middleweight champion, a respected veteran, and one of the toughest fighters in the division. Dirrell wasn't known for giving opponents easy nights. He possessed championship experience, excellent timing, and the kind of veteran instincts that could frustrate younger fighters into making costly mistakes. Many believed this would be the fight where Benavidez's aggression finally worked against him. The young challenger loved to throw combinations, loved to fight at a relentless pace. But against a seasoned champion like Dirrell, every mistake could be punished. Every opening could become a counter. For Benavidez, this wasn't just another title fight. It was a chance to prove he belonged among boxing's elite. From the opening bell, the fight became a battle of styles. Dirrell relied on experience, movement, and sharp counters. Benavidez relied on pressure, volume, and constant forward momentum. Early on, neither man gave much away. Dirrell found success with quick counters and intelligent positioning. Benavidez answered with combinations that forced the champion to work every second of every round. As the fight progressed, the pace began shifting. The younger fighter's pressure never slowed. The combinations kept coming. The body shots started landing. And little by little, the veteran champion was forced to fight at a tempo he didn't want. Dirrell remained dangerous. Every exchange carried risk. Every mistake could swing momentum. But Benavidez continued building pressure like a wave that refused to stop crashing forward. Round after round, the younger man began taking control. The punches became cleaner, the combinations became heavier, and the physical toll on Dirrell became impossible to ignore. By the championship rounds, the momentum had completely changed. The veteran was still fighting, still trying to answer back, but the pressure was becoming overwhelming. Then came the breakthrough. Benavidez unleashed another furious attack. Combination after combination crashed through the guard. Dirrell attempted to survive, attempted to respond, but the assault continued. Finally, the referee stepped in and waved the fight off. Anthony Dirrell had been stopped in dramatic fashion. The crowd erupted, and David Benavidez had earned the biggest victory of his career. The performance wasn't simply impressive because he won. It was impressive because of who he beat. A proven champion, a respected veteran, a fighter many believed possessed the experience necessary to derail the young contender's rise. Instead, Benavidez systematically broke him down. And for the first time, the super middleweight division had undeniable proof. The young lion wasn't coming. He had already arrived.
And watch, March 25th, mark my words, I'm gonna put this motherfucker in the hospital.
Describe Caleb Plant in 3 words. He's a pussy, he's a bitch.
By 2023, David Benavidez had already built a reputation as one of boxing's most relentless fighters.
I mean, you know what's gonna happen to you. I'm gonna put you in the fucking hospital. Mark my words.
Champions had fallen. Veterans had been broken down. And every victory seemed to strengthen the belief that few fighters could withstand his pressure for 12 rounds. But there was still one question hanging over his career. Could he beat an elite boxer whose style appeared designed specifically to frustrate him? That answer would come on March 25th, 2023. Across the ring stood Caleb Plant, a former undefeated world champion, one of the most technically gifted fighters in the super middleweight division, and a man many believed possessed the perfect blueprint to defeat David Benavidez. Plant wasn't known for overwhelming opponents with power. He beat them with intelligence, sharp footwork, defensive awareness, precise counterpunching, and an ability to control distance better than almost anyone in the division. For years, critics argued that a disciplined boxer with elite movement would eventually expose weaknesses in Benavidez's aggressive style. Many believed Caleb Plant was that fighter. Adding even more tension was the personal animosity between them.
Everybody knows I want that unification fight with David Benavidez. You know who the best 168-pounder is. If you want that, you got to come see me. I've been wanting that fight, I've been asking for it, and I'm tired of waiting.
The rivalry had grown increasingly hostile long before fight night. Insults were exchanged, tempers flared, and both men promised to settle everything inside the ring. When the opening bell sounded, the matchup unfolded exactly as many expected. Plant started fast, using angles, movement, and quick combinations to score points while avoiding prolonged exchanges. Whenever Benavidez attempted to close the distance, Plant often found a way to slip away or answer with a sharp counter. For several rounds, the fight remained highly competitive. The former champion's game plan was working. He was forcing Benavidez to think instead of simply overwhelm, forcing him to make adjustments, forcing him to solve problems he rarely encountered against other opponents. But pressure fighters don't win battles in a single round. They win them through accumulation. Round after round, Benavidez continued moving forward, cutting off the ring, attacking the body, and forcing Plant to fight at a pace he couldn't fully control. The movement remained impressive. The defense remained sharp. But every exchange carried a cost. Every retreat required energy. Every escape became a little harder. As the fight entered the second half, the momentum slowly began to shift. The pressure became heavier. The combinations became more frequent. And the space that Plant relied upon started disappearing. For the first time all night, Benavidez looked fully comfortable. The puzzle was being solved. Plant continued fighting bravely, continued showing the skill and toughness that had made him a world champion. But the relentless pressure was beginning to take its toll. The later rounds belonged to Benavidez. His volume increased, his confidence grew, and his control of the fight became undeniable. By the final bell, both fighters had given everything they had. 12 hard rounds, 12 rounds of adjustments, 12 rounds of elite-level boxing. When the scorecards were announced, David Benavidez had earned a unanimous decision victory. But the significance of the performance went beyond the result itself. He hadn't simply defeated another opponent. He had defeated one of the smartest boxers in the division.